Why do you always stare at him like that?" My cousin whispered across the dinner table. I looked up, confused. At who? She tilted her glass slightly. Uncle Daniel. He laughed at something my aunt said, loud, confident, like he owned the room. "Relax," she added, smirking. "You've always been weird around him," everyone chuckled. I smiled too, but my hands felt colder than they should have, because I didn't stare at him on purpose. It just happened. And I didn't know it then, but that moment would come back years later and explain everything. If you've ever felt something was off but couldn't explain why, you'll understand this story. And if you don't want to miss stories like this, you can quietly follow along. Growing up, Uncle Daniel was just part of the background. Family dinners, holidays, random visits. He wasn't overly affectionate. But he noticed things others didn't. If I cut my hair, he'd mention it first. If I changed my tone, he'd look twice. Not in a creepy way, just familiar. That's the only word I had for it. My mom always brushed it off. "He's just attentive," she'd say. And I believed her, until I started noticing patterns. That was the first shift. At 16, during a family barbecue, I dropped a plate. Everyone turned. My aunt sighed loudly. "You're always so clumsy," my cousins laughed, but Uncle Daniel stepped in. "She's fine," he said calmly. It slipped. It wasn't what he said. It was how he said it, like it mattered to him more than it should. I thanked him later. He just nodded. "You don't need to apologize for small things." That stayed with me longer than I expected. But that wasn't the part that unsettled me. A year later, at my graduation, he showed up early, before most relatives. He handed me a small box. Inside was a necklace. Simple, elegant. My mom frowned slightly. "That's a bit much, Daniel." He shrugged. "She deserves something nice." I looked at him. He didn't smile, just watched me. And for a second, I felt like he wasn't looking at me as a niece. I pushed that thought away immediately. Because what else could it be? That was the second shift. Years passed. Life moved. College. Work. New routines. Family gatherings became occasional instead of constant. And the feeling faded, or at least I thought it did. Until a routine decision changed everything. It started casually. A friend suggested we try a Dina kit just for fun. "Ancestry stuff," she said. "You might find something interesting." I ordered one without thinking. A few weeks later, I forgot about it, until the email came in. "Your results are ready." I opened it late at night, half-focused, ethnicity percentages, expected regions. Then I scrolled further. Close family matches. My eyes paused. A name I recognized immediately. Daniel. Not listed as extended, not distant, direct relation. I blinked, refreshed the page. Same result. My heart didn't race, it slowed. Because suddenly, everything started lining up. That was the moment I realized something had been hidden my entire life. But I didn't react. Not yet. Have you ever discovered something that didn't shock you, but quietly rearranged your entire past? I sat with it for 2 days. No calls, no confrontations, just thinking, replaying memories like scenes I'd misunderstood, the way he looked at me, the way he stepped in, the way my mom avoided certain conversations. It wasn't random, it was consistent. That realization became my mini breaking point. But I needed confirmation, not assumptions. So I did something simple. I visited my mom. We sat in the kitchen, same table, same chairs. I placed my phone in front of her, open to the results. I got curious, I said calmly. She glanced down, then froze. Just for a second. That was enough. "You want to tell me?" I asked. She looked away, took a breath, then said quietly, "I was going to tell you someday." I didn't interrupt, because I already knew. "He's not your uncle," she said. "He's your father." The words didn't explode. They settled, like something that had always been true, but never spoken. She explained everything: timing, mistakes, family pressure. They created a story that was easier to live with, easier to explain. So he became uncle, and I became something no one questioned. I didn't cry, I didn't yell, I just listened, because the truth didn't feel new. It felt confirmed. The next part surprised her. I want to talk to him, I said. Not aggressively, not emotionally, just directly. A week later we met. Same calm setting, a quiet calf. He sat across from me, hands steady. I'm guessing you know, he said. I nodded. No drama, no denial, just silence for a moment. Then I asked, why didn't you ever tell me? He looked down briefly, then back up. Because I didn't want to disrupt your life, he said. I held his gaze. You already did, I replied. Not harsh, just honest. He didn't argue. And that was the moment everything shifted publicly. At the next family gathering, nothing was announced, no speeches, but something changed. The way people looked at us, the way my mom stopped correcting conversations, and the way I addressed him. Not uncle, just Daniel. That silence said more than any confrontation ever could. No one laughed this time. No one made comments. Because truth doesn't need volume, it just needs presence. Now, years later, I don't feel anger. I feel clarity. Some truths are hidden to protect people. Others are hidden because people don't want to face them. I learned the difference. And I learned something more important. You don't always need a dramatic reaction to reclaim your story. Sometimes you just need to see it clearly. And choose how you carry it forward. If this story made you pause or reflect on something in your own life, you're not alone.